FIFA President Gianni Infantino's plans to create a 17.5 billion euros company to run the World Cup with private investors has sparked fierce opposition from football's governing bodies. UEFA was among the first organizations to condemn the proposal. European football's governing body made clear that football is not for sale, warning against turning the sport into a commercial asset. UEFA will hold an emergency meeting on Wednesday to discuss its response, according to French Sports Minister Marina Ferrari. La Liga President Javier Tebas lashed out at Infantino, accusing him of mixing politics, discipline, money and power without transparency. England's Football Association said it had not been informed of FIFA's proposal before it emerged publicly and raised concerns about the way it had been handled. The German Football Association has joined UEFA in criticizing FIFA president's reported plan to sell a 20 to 30% stake in the World Cup to private investors. Philippe Diallo, president of the French Football Federation, also criticized the complete lack of communication surrounding the proposal.
Wildfires continue to ravage swaths of France and Spain, leaving ground crews battling to contain the blazes as summer heat intensifies and dries out vegetation. Operating around the clock, Brussels officials pull emergency assets from across 27 EU member states and 10 partner nations to reallocate limited resources. Following France's request for assistance last week, aircraft from Slovakia, Slovenia, Portugal and Turkey deployed to the southwest, with Serbia offering additional helicopters.
We have the system to detect.
The EU has steadily expanded its aerial fleet and stationed 25 weather and fire specialists in Brussels to assess fire spread and identify emerging risks.
The team is monitoring the situation, monitoring the risk in France, how it will develop, and is in continuous contact with the French authorities to see whether they would need additional support, whether they would need additional planes, and if that would be the case, they would to put this information in the system to all member states and participating states to try to get these additional resources.
While officials confirmed all current aid requests have been met, upcoming heat waves risk triggering fresh blazes across the continent, keeping emergency teams on high alert.
Thousands of residents who were forced to evacuate from the region of Madrid returned home on Wednesday as the wildfires have been stabilized. Regional authorities said weather conditions improved overnight, which helped firefighting teams reduce the intensity of the fires. Also in Valencia, the regional government lifted similar measures. On Tuesday, however, firefighting crews were still tackling the blazes, which were fueled by high temperatures and strong winds.
Ahora mismo se está en una tarea de contención del incendio y también de refresco, entre otras cosas, para evitar el que pueda haber cualquier reinicio de incendios en zonas que pensábamos ya estaba pues consolidado o estable la situación.
And in neighboring France, officials in the Gironde region also reported a second calm night, adding that a major fire near Bordeaux was stable. However, authorities and firefighting crews stay on alert as the country is faced with yet another heat wave, the fourth one so far this year. Both the Gironde and Landes regions are under an orange level warning, with temperatures expected to reach 41 degrees Celsius inland and 38 degrees Celsius on the coast. The wildfires that swept across Spain and France, which were fueled by extreme heat, are among the largest the two countries have experienced in recent history. Scientists and climate experts have warned that human-induced climate change is making heat waves more frequent and intense, and increasingly likely to occur earlier and later in the year.
Russia has issued an international wanted notice for Telegram founder and CEO Pavel Durov over accusations of complicity in terrorism. Moscow accuses Russian-born Durov of failing to remove channels, chats and bots used by Ukrainian intelligence agencies and, quote, extremist organizations that it says contributed to attacks killing civilians. Russia's investigative committee said it was separately examining criminal cases involving the recruitment of teenagers into alleged terrorism and sabotage through a chatbot. The Kremlin frequently targets its political enemies on charges of supporting terrorism or extremism. Durov, who has lived outside Russia for years and holds French and UAE passports, described the case as politically motivated. The 41-year-old lives in France, where he has also faced legal issues over allegations over the spread of illegal content on Telegram.
In a visit to the divided island of Cyprus, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres announced his intention to convene fresh talks on resolving the decades-long division of Cyprus. Guterres did not set a specific date for the talks and said that sufficient preparation must take place beforehand. The announcement came after a trilateral meeting between Guterres, the President of the Republic of Cyprus, Nikos Christodoulidis, and the Turkish Cypriot leader, Tufan Erhürman. Under the 5+1 format, the two Cypriot sides would be joined by guarantor powers, Greece, Turkey, and the United Kingdom, as well as the United Nations.
Based on our discussions on the way forward, I decided that I would convene another 5+1 meeting after adequate preparations on confidence building, methodology and substance, taking into account the convergences already achieved.
The Secretary-General said there is a consensus among the two sides and the guarantor powers regarding the new meeting. He also clarified that there is no meeting scheduled on the Cyprus issue during the high-level week of the UN General Assembly in September.
I don't want to have more 5+1 meetings without result. I want a successful 5+1 meeting in order to pave the way for a solution to be achieved.
Substantive talks on the Cyprus issue remain at a standstill following the collapse of the process in Crans-Montana, Switzerland in 2017. Nikos Christodoulidis welcomed Guterres' commitment and emphasized that the new effort must build on the negotiating achievements, the points of convergence and everything that had been agreed upon up to Crans-Montana.
Έχουμε αυτό το ξεκαθάρισμα σε σχέση με το διαπραγματευτικό κεκτημένο των συνομιλιών. Δεν ξεκινούμε από το μηδέν, αξιοποιείται το διαπραγματευτικό κεκτημένο και είναι πολύ σημαντικό και αυτή πλέον, αν θέλετε, θετική ανταπόκριση που υπάρχει, κάτι που δεν υφίστατο προηγουμένως, σε σχέση με τον ρόλο που δύναται να διαδραματίσει η Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση.
President Christodoulidis said preparation would begin immediately with Guterres' personal envoy Maria Angela Holguin and the European Union. He announced that he will meet on Friday in Nicosia with the European Union Special Envoy for Cyprus, Rafael Fito. On his part, Turkish Cypriot leader Tufan Erhürman described Guterres' visit as positive. He welcomed the emphasis on confidence-building measures and a new methodology. He said he was now more hopeful, arguing that any renewed process must focus on achieving results rather than holding talks for their own sake.
U.S. military said on Tuesday that it knocked down an Iranian missile barrage and worked with Saudi Arabia's forces to strike Iran-backed militias in Iraq. In its announcement, the U.S. said that militias had launched a barrage of drone attacks in recent days and warned Iran to halt its attacks. Riyadh confirmed intercepting multiple drones, while Iraqi Prime Minister Ali al-Zaidi ordered an investigation after a similar attack took place on Monday. The strikes on Iraq killed at least 20 members of a former paramilitary alliance that includes pro-Iran groups, the alliance said, as they have denied any role in drone attacks, calling the Saudi claims fabrications. Tensions expanded across key maritime routes as Houthi militants claimed responsibility for targeting a Saudi oil tanker and blockading the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. This risks further disruption beyond the Strait of Hormuz, through which 20% of global oil flows. The escalation coincides with growing political and financial pressure on US President Donald Trump as military costs continue to rise in Washington.
The Beirut Museum's Tell Me South exhibition is taking many visitors in Lebanon down memory lane, evoking emotions of all kinds in a showcase that aims to preserve the memory of villages destroyed by Israel in southern Lebanon. Keys hang like wind chimes from the ceiling of the Beirut Museum, each one symbolizing what was once a home. Taking place in the Sadeko district venue in the Lebanese capital, the exhibition has generated massive attention due to its display of family photos, testimonies and personal stories of visitors that have made their way to the city. Organizers say the aim is to show South Lebanon through its people, far from an image that reduces it to devastation. One of the projects on display is, quote, Keys Without Homes, which comprises videos of 3 Southerners who kept keys to their houses even though they no longer exist. The exhibition also explores the violence that continues long after ceasefires and the liberation of the South in the year 2000. Videos of Nabatea and notebooks in which visitors wrote down their memories of the South are also on display.
We opened Hkili Ajnoub 6 weeks ago, and until today we received more than 7,200 visitors. That is quite totally unexpected, depending on the actual situation in Lebanon. One part of the exhibition was to let the South explain their story by themselves, by their voice themselves, but also for the country to stay connected to what's happening in the South.
Tell Me South exhibition will close during the summer vacation and will return in September with new pictures, memories and stories that will be added by visitors.